all of the sensory experiences, all of the drama, all of the stories and relationships and desires and fears. All of those places that our mind is usually hooked in. Just literally unhook it and draw that awareness deep into yourself. Draw that awareness into the spaciousness within you. Draw that awareness into that source inside of you. That source of love, of peace, of oneness. Just draw that awareness fully inward. The world will go on, it always goes on. But your mind does not have to be glued to it. Your mind does not have to be a slave to it. Exert some loving control over the mind and just draw it inward. And anchor that mind into the breath. All of that power of attention and awareness that is usually all over the place. Just anchor it deeply into the breath. Anything that arises that catches your mind or attention, just unhook it right away and draw it right back to the breath. Slowly and gently, bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and rub them gently against each other. And press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly lower the hands and open the eyes. Welcome. to satsang. So wonderful to be together with you all. Wonderful also to have our family from the Dune School with us. I know sadly you're going to have to leave early, but we're so glad that you all were able to make it. Giving youth in school an experience of arati and satsang and a few minutes of meditation is, in my mind, perhaps the best thing we can do for the future of our planet. So, love having you with us. We'll begin, as always, with a question that's come in from our online internet audience, and then open it up to any questions that anyone here might have. How do you overcome the breakup of a friendship? From Arjun Reddy. So, breakups are hard, whether it's a romantic breakup or whether it's a friendship breakup. Our relationships are things that not only we enjoy and are meaningful to us, but we actually, if the relationship has gone on for a while, we actually develop a sense of identity that is rooted around that relationship. We have a sense of ourself as it relates to that other person, as it relates to that relationship. And so when we lose the relationship, we frequently find that we're losing some part of ourselves as well, that there's kind of a sense of feeling lost. Now, of course, with a friendship, as with any relationship, it depends why it happened. In some cases, the friend just ghosts you and suddenly stops talking to you and decides they don't want to be friends. And that's always something very, very difficult to deal with. Whether they just ghost you or whether they actually sit you down and tell you why they don't want to be friends or why they don't want to be with you. It's always very difficult to handle. And it really requires us to be fully anchored in the awareness that I am not someone else's projection. People are in relationships because on some level there's something they're getting from the relationship. For some of us, it may be something deep. For some of us, it may be very shallow. There may be people who are in relationships with us because they like how we look, because we are popular and being friends with us makes them feel popular, because we're not popular and being our friend makes them feel like they are the popular one, because we have money and we take them along on nice trips or nice things, or because we don't have money. And so they don't feel insecure about not having money around us. There's a million reasons why someone wants to be in relationship with us that has nothing to do with actually who we are, and everything to do with what that person needs for their own emotional, psychological, mental well-being. And that's not wrong. I'm not saying that's bad or wrong. I'm just saying we need to be aware that when someone no longer needs or wants or values us in a relationship, not to take it as though there's something wrong with us. You know, when you first get in a relationship, whether it's romantic or whether it's friends, it's usually about, I think about it like pegs and holes. We fill each other up. So if I've got, say, triangular shaped or circular shaped or square shaped holes, metaphorically, my holes might be that I don't feel beautiful. My sister was more beautiful. I grew up with my parents always saying, oh yeah, she's the smart one. Her sister's the beautiful one. So I always grew up with this sense of not being beautiful. Or maybe I have a hole that I feel like I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable. Maybe for whatever reason, whatever has happened in my life, I just don't feel like I'm really worthy of love. And now I get in relationship with someone, romantic or friends, and that person makes me feel so beautiful, just like I'm the most beautiful person in the world. Or they make me feel so worthy, so valuable, so lovable. So you can think of it as their peg fitting my hole. I have a square hole, they have a square peg, it fits. They fill me with praise, my hole feels full, we're happy. But what happens over time is everyone changes. So maybe when we met, my holes were square-shaped and their peg was square-shaped, and so we were a perfect fit. But over time, maybe I do some psychological work, maybe I do some spiritual work, and I start to deal with some of my own issues. And so my hole is no longer square. Now maybe it's much smaller and it's a circle. I've kind of whittled away all the stuff on the outside. Maybe now it's just a little hole left. And maybe they, who were this praise-giving, just effusively praising and loving and appreciative person with this big square peg, maybe they've been through some changes or some difficult times, or they're struggling in some way. And so they no longer have this nice square peg that fits into my nice square hole. Now maybe theirs is a triangle shape. And it no longer fits. The hole that I have now isn't filled by their peg. And so we fall, as we say, out of love. Oh, I was in love, now I fell out of love. That's what happens. And this happens in friendships as well. So if someone no longer wants to be in relationship with you, of any kind, don't take it personally. Just recognize that whatever it was they were getting from this relationship, however we used to fit, time has happened, time has changed. And obviously if they specifically say, I can't be friends with you anymore because you are a liar, or I can't be friends with you anymore because you are an alcoholic or a drug addict and I don't want it, then that's a beautiful lesson. Look at yourself. Do you tell too many lies? Do you tell lies at all? Well, hey, maybe it's turning off other friends as well. Maybe this friend is doing you actually a favor by telling you why they don't want to be your friend anymore. So maybe you can look about becoming more truthful, how to be more authentic, how to be more real, how to stop needing to put on a false show. Or maybe it's time to look at your alcohol and drug use, if that's what they say. Whatever it is, sometimes it's a beautiful teaching, an opportunity to grow and to change. But a lot of times it's really just people changing. And then of course there's the last option, which is the friendship has broken up because you've decided. When we go on spiritual paths, this happens to all of us. We all have friends, school friends, university friends, friends from other times in our lives, where it just doesn't fit anymore. Once you start meditating, once you really embark on a spiritual path, you'll notice that a lot of the things that you used to do with friends no longer really interest you. And some of those friends are good enough and close enough friends that it doesn't matter. They don't need to go to the bar or the club or the disco or the movies with you. They just love you. They're happy to sit over a cup of tea. They're happy to take a walk. But some of the friends you'll discover were really based on, oh, we're drinking buddies Friday nights. Oh, we go together to strip clubs. Oh, we gamble. Oh, we do this. Oh, we sit around and gossip about everybody. Whatever the practice may be, you may discover that there are people who you don't have anything left in common with. All the things that you used to do together, you're not interested in doing anymore. They're no longer things that you want to be doing. And in cases like that, it's important to really bow to them and honor them as having been a friend when you needed it at that time. But to really see them as a season that has passed, in the same way that we may love summer, but we recognize that, okay, now it's autumn. And we don't feel badly about it in our hearts. We don't feel like there's something wrong with us that summer left us. We understand it's the turning of seasons. It's the nature of nature. And sometimes it's important just to look at certain relationships, friendships, as it was really beautiful for a season, however long that season may have lasted. But now that season has shifted. And it doesn't mean they're wrong or we're wrong, but it just means that we no longer have that together. And that's okay. And the way to deal with it is find new friends. Find friends who are in alignment. And here's the great news. You don't need 50. You don't need 100 close friends, especially on a spiritual path. If your aim is to be a social butterfly, yeah, you might need 50 or 100. If your aim is to win, most popular girl in the neighborhood, you might need 50 or 100. But if your aim is just to have some people you can really share yourself with, 2, 3, even 1, are really all you need. Because what you find as you grow spiritually is that you crave variety less and less, that you get tired of things less and less. There's less and less of a sense of, oh my God, I saw you last night. Like, really, again? How about somebody new tonight? Those sorts of feelings stop arising. In the same way that so many of us discover we could essentially eat khichdi 3 times a day for the rest of our lives and be really fine with it. That sense of craving variety, craving newness, it dissipates. Doesn't mean we don't enjoy it. Should a beautiful fruit orchard appear, or a beautiful flower garden of lots of different types of flowers appear, we love it. But we don't crave it in that way. And so allow yourself to have new friends, even just a couple. But those who really are in alignment with where you are. And that's what we call Sangha, a spiritual community. And whether the community is 2 or 3 or 10, can be more, of course, but it doesn't have to be. So just take it in the same way that, we all have things from different times of our life that we loved. It may even be something as material as an item of clothing that you really loved. Doesn't fit anymore. Things in our life, including relationships, sometimes just stop fitting. And that doesn't mean we don't love them for how long we had them. But we just recognize it no longer fits. Bow to him, appreciate them, and move on. Other questions? Any question that anyone here has? Yes, here, two in the front.
So there are times when someone says or does something that creates a reaction.
Yes.
And there are times when breathing or some other technique helps in not reacting. But there comes a time when the stimulus is so great, or it's just so much of it, that the reaction does occur. And then guilt follows.
Yes. Great. Could you hear him in the back? No. Okay, not at all. That's what I thought. Okay. So he said there are things that happen in life that cause reactions in us. Someone says something, they do something, and it causes us to react. And he says, but as we grow spiritually and study, we learn techniques like breathing that can keep us from reacting. So we learn to not react. But then sometimes the stimulus is so strong. What that person did, what they said is so strong that we react, and then we feel guilty afterwards. So whenever that happens, just bow to yourself and say, Namaste, human. Namaste, human. Namaste, human. You're still human. What are you going to do? It happens. And slowly your non-reaction muscle gets stronger and stronger. You know, it's literally like a muscle. First time you pick up a weight, maybe you can do a couple of pounds, maybe you can do 5 reps, 10 reps. And then the weight overpowers the muscle. And if you try to do more, you'll hurt yourself. You just can't lift it anymore. But the more you do it, you find day by day, week by week, month by month, that you can do more and more reps. And that you can actually lift a heavier weight. The muscle has grown. In the same way, as you learn these practices, as you anchor in these practices. So, you know I can handle 2 kg of someone's obnoxiousness. I can handle that. If it weighs 2 kilograms, I can take it. No problem. But the 5 kilograms of obnoxiousness is more than my muscles can handle. So I react. Right? What does it mean? It means you work on building the muscle. You work on building the muscle. So today, when you got 5 kgs of rudeness, you reacted. Like someone put a dumbbell in my arms that was much more than I could handle, and it fell to the ground. Maybe it fell to the ground on something, broke something, could have broken my toes. Reaction. Not on purpose, it just was more than I could hold. That which happened was more than your non-reaction muscle could withstand. Okay, it happens. You build the muscle. You build the muscle, you build the muscle. This is why so many of the spiritual teachers of so many different religions, mystics and sages and yogis and great teachers, have always taught us when someone is rude to you, thank them. When someone puts a challenge in your path, thank them. Someone makes your life miserable, thank them. They are that weight that is enabling you to build your muscles. If all I've got are half kg weights, I'm not going to build very strong muscles, am I? Right? I mean, I could kind of do this all day long and not actually improve my muscles. I actually need something. It's a bit heavier to build my muscle. So if everyone around us just is, oh, you're so wonderful, oh, you're so wonderful, and is super nice to us and super polite and does exactly what we want, whenever we want, however we want, we don't build that muscle. And then when life happens, as it inevitably does, and there is that moment where a person or the universe does something that is not what you wanted, you realize, I have no muscle to deal with this. It would be like if I'm lifting half kg weights my whole life and suddenly somebody gives me a 10 kg weight. It's going to fall out of my hands. It's going to break my feet. Whereas if along the way, I had been practicing with 3 kgs, 5 kg, 7 kg, well then when the 10 kilogram weight comes, I can actually take it. It may not be easy. I'm not saying I can, do this with it, but I can handle it. It's not going to break me. So take all of these opportunities as ways that the universe is building your muscle. And tell them thank you. Yes. So it turns out you have to speak a little bit louder for our friends in the back to hear you.
Okay. So my question is, how can we learn to detach from the pleasures of life, like very good relationship or the very good feelings we have with someone or other pleasures?
Great. So how do we detach from the pleasures of life? Very beautiful relationships, things that feel really good. How do we detach? It's a great question because I think it's actually really misunderstood. In the spiritual tradition, especially the Vedic tradition, the Eastern traditions, we emphasize detachment. In Sanskrit, it's vairagya. But it's not. It's not disconnection. It is not a teaching that says, stop enjoying the beautiful things of this world. It's not an injunction to learn to close your heart or close your eyes or close your ears. I've seen over my years here, God knows how many times someone either in orange robes, white robes, or in normal clothes, all of those say to me, I have mastered detachment. I've been working on it, I've mastered detachment. And every one of them, 100% of them in 27 years, looks so cranky and so grumpy. And you think, really? Like this is something we should want? Inevitably they have that very kind of constipated look of, and you think, really? You've done all that meditation for that? It doesn't sit right deeply in me. Here's how I understand it. God is the creator. All of our religions tell us that. Now imagine that you have created something, a piece of art, a piece of music, a beautiful meal, a poem, whatever it may be. You've created something. Now you've given it to someone. What do you want them to do with it? Anybody want them to ignore it? Anybody want them to pretend that you didn't give it to them? We want them to love it. We want them to enjoy it. Could you imagine giving someone something and then you go to their house a year later and they say, guess what? You're going to be so happy. I totally forgot you had given me that. In fact, I stuck it in my closet way in the back in the dark. And I completely forgot about it. We'd be insulted. We'd be hurt. Now, I don't think God gets insulted or hurt, but I also don't think that God has created this extraordinary creation with flowers that smell the way flowers smell, with classical music sounding like music sounds, with sunsets looking like sunsets look, or babies' faces looking like babies' faces look, just so that we can learn not to care. I do not believe we've been given the power of tasting and enjoying a hot cup of tea on a cold day, just so that we can not taste it, right? I mean, one of the symptoms of COVID was you lose your taste. It's a symptom of an illness. It's not a symptom of spiritual elevation. Guess what? I don't taste cake anymore. I can eat it, but I don't taste it. I don't enjoy it. You'd say, get a COVID test. You wouldn't bow down and touch their feet. I do not believe that we are meant to ignore the glory of creation. However, this is where detachment comes in. Everything that we enjoy is fleeting. A sunset, a cup of tea, the baby's face. It's all fleeting. Sometimes immediately a sunset gives us a few seconds. Cup of tea, maybe a few minutes. Baby's face, a couple of years. But they're all fleeting. Our relationships are fleeting, even the best ones. If we don't break up, well, one of us is going to die. I mean, eventually we'll both die, but one of us will die first. The relationship is over. All of the things that we really love are fleeting. And so the practice of detachment is not, don't enjoy it while you have it. Don't love it while you have it. But it's a practice of, do not be so attached to its continued existence that when it no longer exists, you've lost your ability to find joy or find love. इनके एकदम सामने मत करिएगा भैया, थोड़ा सा दूर करिएगा, वो तो बेहतर है. You don't want to do that. Because then we're just setting ourselves up for misery. I can love the sunset. But if I burst into tears every time the sun drops below the horizon, I'm going to spend a lot of nights really upset. If every time my cup of tea is over, I burst into tears and I'm miserable, inconsolable, well, you'd say maybe there's a problem here. So when we talk about detachment spiritually, it means love it while you have it, enjoy it, it's here. The smell of the flower, the sunset, the relationship. your own beautiful, healthy, young body, the blossoms on the trees. Love them, smell them, enjoy them, celebrate them. But recognize it's all fleeting. And so make sure that you've got something else to anchor yourself in that is not fleeting. And that is your core soul, spirit, consciousness, divinity. So you don't have to pull back from the relationship. You just need to have, in addition to the beautiful relationship, a beautiful relationship with yourself. So that when that relationship is over, may God bless you, may it be there for another 80 years. But eventually it's going to be over. Again, whether it's because you die first or they die first. But when that happens, that you don't lose yourself. We need to have a connection with that self so we don't lose ourselves when all of the things that we enjoyed come to an end. So that's the teaching. Enjoy it. Love it. Celebrate it. But don't depend upon it for your own anchoring and grounding and joy and peace and stability. Okay. Beautiful. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, everyone. A beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from online. And I look so forward to seeing you all tomorrow. And so much love to you all.